Alright, so this is worksheet 2 from Unit 3. Yep, Unit 3, worksheet 2. Number 18. I'm picking the one to work because I know that this is the one that's like the one on the test. So let's make sure we know how to do this one. We like to compare to 0, so I don't like the way this is set up. I want to compare it to 0. So let's move one of these guys to the other side. And it doesn't matter which side you move it to, but I think most people would move it to the left, like that. Well, now we got to do what we did in warm-up, and that's add those two things. So again, denominators get a little bit petty and catty with each other. They want each other's stuff. Jealous, maybe, is the right word. So first denominator looks at second denominator and says, that's not fair. I want an x minus 1. Fine, get you an x minus 1. Now second denominator's mad because he didn't have an x plus 3. Fine, take an x plus 3. And the point of that, not just the silly story of that, is that they have to have a common denominator in order to add, or in this case, subtract. So x plus 3 and x minus 1 in the bottom. That's our common denominator, so I don't need to write it twice. It's in common, so we just write it one time. The top, 2x minus 2. Another minus sign. We're going to have to be real careful with that. Minus x minus 3. Two x minus x is x minus 5 over x plus 3 and x minus 1. Greater than or equal to 0. Okay, all that, and now we're sort of ready to start the problem. Like all that pre-work. Now we're ready to find zeros of the top, zeros of the bottom, put them all on a number line, and see what happens. So zeros of the top would be x equals 5. I'm running out of space, but this is an easy one for this part of the problem. Zeros of the bottom would be negative 3 and 1. And one of the most frustrating errors I find that students make is they don't put those on the number line in the right order. Right? Like, I mean, you all would laugh if I did it wrong, and we could laugh at someone's expense. But be careful, because it happens. The smallest of those numbers is negative 3, and then 1, and then 5. And I'm not really concerned about the spacing, right? There's 4 between negative 3 and 1, and there's 4 between 1 and 5. Actually, my spacing is right, but that's just coincident. It's only important that you put them on in the right order to help you set up the intervals. At 5, is that going to be an open circle or a closed circle? For x equals 5. Closed, because of the equal to part of the problem. We'll close that one. What about negative 3 and 1? Open or closed? Okay, this is what we did yesterday. Those are always open. If it comes from the denominator, they have to be open, because x can't be 1 or negative 3, because then you're dividing by 0, and that doesn't work. So you've got to, anything from the denominator has to be open. So the top ones work like you think they work. Nobody misses the top ones. The bottom ones, sometimes we forget that they're just always open. All right, I'm rushed for space and for time, so I'm going to do the alternating rule and trust it on this one. So I'm going to plug in 0. Again, 0 is a great number to test, but make sure you have it in the right interval. I was grading tests last night, and there were some people who put 0 in the wrong spot. So I'm glad you want to test 0, but you got to put it in the right interval. So testing 0, I'm going to test it into this one. I get negative 5 over 3 times negative 1, and I want to see if that's bigger than 0. Well, negative over negative is positive. Positive number is bigger than 0, that's true. So I will shade that interval. And again, generally speaking, it's probably not wise to do what I'm about to do, and that is trust the alternating rule. I should at least check somewhere else, but I'm out of room and I need to get on with other things, so I'm going to just trust it. So if that's a yes, this is a no, and this is a no, and that last one over there would be a yes. And it is perfectly okay to do that. So that's the other reason I'm doing it, is to model that it's okay to do the alternating rule. If you understand it, and especially if you're pushed for time, then go with it. Trust it. So my solutions go from -3 to 1, and then from 5 to infinity. And pay attention there, the -3 and the 1 have parentheses because they were open circles. The 5 has the bracket because it was a closed circle. So that's another problem where there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of stuff you got to get right. But again, that's a test-inspired one, so hope that one makes sense to you.